Week 2 recap. I'm sure I'm not the only one whose team is absolutely decimated by injuries. For me, it's Debo. You know, it's Njoku. It's T. Higgins. It's Joe Mixon. It's Hollywood Brown. It's the whole squad. But for you guys, we're going to see who got impacted the most. But then again, tough situations really reveal who the good managers are. So let's see how you all manage through it. Starting with the first game. A high-scoring affair. It's really a shame that any of these teams had to lose because this was the highest-scoring team and the third highest-scoring team this week. Untouchables falls to 0-2. Obviously, you have to look in the mirror and say, why, life isn't fair. It's a team I gave a low rating to, so selfishly, you know, some validation, but at the same time, there's a team that managed their butt off. I mean, Kyler was one of those risky picks at quarterback. 37 points. J.K. Dobbins, total sleeper, 28.6 points. Tony Pollard not getting much respect ADP-wise, 15.2 points. The guys you bank on, Mike Evans and Jalen Waddle, both with 7 points. Obviously, very surprising. Jalen Waddle obviously takes a hit with the Tua injuries, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, this team was managed well, played well, and just couldn't get the win. Very frustrating. There's a good bench. I'm not giving up on the team at all. At all. Certainly not. As far as Team Chef Cesario, you know, top 3 team preseason, and I think they're playing like it. I mean, this time it was Kamara, 51.5 points. Last week it was Saquon. That RB group, absolutely nuts. Zay Flowers, obviously showing a lot of value. Godwin as well. Debo was as well, but Debo, the frustration here is the injury. It's going to be a couple weeks, and that's frustrating. When we look towards your bench, who could fill in? The answer is hopefully the guys who are already hurt, but they're not going to be able to come back next week. Kenneth Walker, A.J. Brown, both probably going to miss another week. A.J. Brown, I would say almost definitely. Kenneth Walker, I'm hearing mixed things. I'm sure by the time I send this, it will be clearer. But, man, I mean, very frustrating. There's a team that's definitely getting impacted by injuries, but they're 2-0 nevertheless, and there's going to be a really strong team when fully healthy. They're already strong. The closest game was a absolute nail-biter between Team the Banditos and Pain Train. For Team the Banditos, you know, I think both these teams did solid this week. No one jumped off the page. Lamar Jackson, a bit of a disappointing performance, but we knew Josh Jacobs would get high volume with the Jordan Love injury, and that's exactly what happened. 32 carries, absolutely nuts. Montgomery continues to be outperforming ADPs, it feels like every season. The question marks here are the wide receivers always, because there are wide receivers that names are very consistent, Amon-Ra, Olave, and Diggs, but this season so far brings about some questions. Diggs not getting the high volume he always has gotten in his career because of that wide receiver group. An off week, as anticipated. Without the touchdowns, he only got 6.2 points. Olave fortunately had a big catch, but still only 13.3 points, and that was a much better performance than last week, so that's a question mark. And then Amon-Ra, fortunately, the volume was definitely there this week, so he rebounds from a bad week 1, and that's where we leave you on a more positive note. Mark Andrews, similar, you know, a good week, not insane, but a better week than before. You know, 5 targets and 4 catches better than last week, so hopefully that's also trending up for you. But this is a team that I like. Banditos is a team that I think so far has outperformed the mid rating I gave, but I still think it's about a mid team. Whereas for Pain Train, you fall to 0-2. Pain Train falling to 0-2 is a bit of a surprise. You know, this is a team I also ranked near the middle, but Anthony Richardson having a fall off. We talked last week about how those long touchdowns boosted his score. 12.36, obviously less so. Then you see Pacheco, 16.1 points, but he gets injured. Very frustrating. Tyreek Hill, obviously impacted by Tua. The positive is that he continues to be an amazing start. Malik Neighbors got more than half of the targets for the Giants. Derrick Henry had a good second half. So a lot of mixed news with this team as well. It's another team that I consider just mid. You know, I hope when T. Higgins gets back that helps you, but it's another mid team. But this team, unfortunately, at 0-2 is in a much worse position than the Banditos, who is at 2-0. Grenas. By the way, with fantasy, I'm so frustrated with the injuries that it's hard for me to smile, which is why I'm a little bit tempered this week. But no, El Granas gets a win to go to 2-0. Obviously our old rival, but we did say coming into the season, a top team, and I think he's performing as such, 143 to 103. This wasn't really close over Crucifier, who's the team we ranked highest, but for Crucifier, obviously Tua's concussion, obviously is the worst news for you. That's not the only bad news. You had Jordan Love get hurt, So now both your quarterbacks are hurt. Jamar Chase still reeling from that preseason drama. Mostert's hurt. This team has definitely gone through a lot, but DK Metcalf, benching DK Metcalf for, I would say in this case, Ayuk, is something I can't agree with, because Ayuk hasn't proven, coming from that preseason drama, that he could be that guy. So you took risks having Ayuk and Jamar Chase, and it's one of those slow ramp teams that should be getting better, but at this point, it's hard to be overly excited about this team, especially with that running back group. Obviously, if I were to re-rank teams, it would not be near the top. I would hope this team, because the wide receiver depth, decides to make a move, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens. For El Grenos, more news, by the way. El Grenos does put up that 143 points, but they lose Cooper Kupp. They also play McLaurin, who is just not proving that he's worth a start. Xavier Worthy on the bench was a good decision. Every other league I'm doing, Worthy was starting. That was actually a good decision. He needs to prove that he could get the volume. JSN maybe earned a starting position. For you, Charbonnet obviously is a big addition while Kenneth Walker is out. Nico Collins is proving that he's still that dude in your running back group. No one has questions about Gibbs and JT. So it's a team that I'm still high on. Absolutely. Although Cooper Kupp getting hurt takes you from, maybe if I were to do a re-rank, number 1 to probably 3 or 4 if I had to do top of mind. Team Elect Rick, I know he is actually named Rick, so I now realize that it wasn't a shout out to me. But Elect Rick, listen, doesn't deserve a win, and you know why that is. You know, you start a guy, Keenan Allen, who doesn't play. I can't respect it. I can't respect it, especially because you had wide receivers on your bench. So I have no words at this moment in time. I don't want to praise your team. I will say everyone knew Breece Hall would be amazing and Jalen Hurts would be good. James Cook was a good pick, so I immediately did praise you after that. But anyway, and Brock Bowers also a good value. But yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon's banged up. Keenan Allen, obviously, because of that, what we just said, banged up. It's a good team, but I'm not going to be rooting for them for the next few weeks. So let me leave a note for myself. Electric. Root against because F for effort. Dustin the Win, I'm sorry that you had to fall to a team that played no one, but your team was bad. Tank Dell, too risky with 3 wide receivers. DJ Moore also in a group of 3 wide receivers. George Pickens, I talked about this last week, is just on a not good passing offense. So that wide receiver group, I don't know how to get excited about it. Bijan and Etienne is a good running back group. Rashad White's being disappointing. So, I mean, I guess you have to start all 3 at this point. Because there's not really anyone else. But I wonder if Demarcus Robinson could step up as your wide receiver. At this point, your team's going to ride with your wide receivers, and we're just going to have to find out if they could do anything for you. If not, your 1-1 record might fall to under 500. That's just how I am feeling right now, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking. We went with Jared, did fall 169 to 139. El Professor had a great performance. You know, Mahomes' disappointing performance, but Achane proves to be an amazing pick. Mason ended up being an amazing acquisition. Marvin Harrison, amazing. CeeDee Lamb, amazing. Pittman's the concern here. Laporte had an off week. I'm not too concerned about him. Pittman, though, in that offense is actually a concern. But it's more good news for you than bad because Mason's really RB1 territory. Marvin Harrison looks like he's going to be a wide receiver 1. Achane, RB1. You know, CeeDee Lamb's obviously a wide receiver 1. Laporte is obviously a tight end 1. This is one of the only teams that I could say all these positive things about. So massive mazel tov to El Professor for, you know, figuring it out after a week 1 loss, having a great week and looking like they're only climbing from here. You know, even on the bench, Calvin really had a big game. Burrow's starting to play better. So I think we went with Jared, obviously falling to 1-1. It's a good team, but it's not looking as strong as, you know, initially it did. But Devontae Adams having a huge week and Justin Jefferson having a big week, as long as he's healthy, is the bright light here. You know, Aaron Jones, I really don't know what to make of him. So that is a little concerning. Travis Kelce, also hard to understand what's going to happen with him. But with Pacheco getting hurt, I think that passing game is going to only get better. And the Jets defense is my favorite defense coming into the season. They've had injuries and Hassan Reddick didn't come back. So a little bit more area of concern. But low-key, I still think with the matchups, it's a good defense. We went with Jared's first week without Puka. Obviously, it didn't go well. But when you get Puka back, then, I mean, that's a good team. I'm glad that to get affirmation that you're getting Puka back. But yeah, we have 3 2-0 teams, 4 1-1 teams, 3 0-2 teams. It's about as even a league as you could hope for. No team's horrible. A couple teams do stand out, but ultimately after week 2, I think a lot of question marks still. How do you manage through the injuries? No trades yet. I'm going to keep an eye out for that, but ultimately, I don't know. There are not too many takeaways just yet. I really think Electric needs to be kicked out of the league if you start a guy that doesn't play. I'm sorry, I know you have my name, but that's just how I feel. No, you get 1 strike. If you do it twice, you're done. You're done. I'll see you guys next week.